Have you ever thought about when you get a used item and whether it's clean or not, and then you kind of question, why did I get this item used? So the same thing goes for books. Sometimes we'll get books given to us, we'll get them from the thrift store, a huge book haul. Someone's cleaning out their house, so they've got all these books. But depending on, the location, how clean the person is, or, wherever they came from, the books may have came from a hoard, right? And then the climate within wherever the books were at, the temperature wasn't great, and so the books will have mold in them. There'll be watermarks, stains, be just weathered and tattered, and sometimes they'll have mites. They'll have roaches or bugs in the books. So just be careful about where you are getting your books from. And excuse the noise, I'm outside, of course. And just pay attention when you're handling books that are used. Make sure that you have hand sanitizer, or use some type of gloves when you're handling books. I notice, like, if I go to a thrift store and there's books, when I come out of the store, my hands have this film on them, right? And so the books are not being dusted off. They probably went from someone's home and then just to the shelf, right? And they weren't really inspected carefully. And so, you want to make sure that before you bring that into your home, that it doesn't have mold, it doesn't have bugs in it, or mites, or lice, that kind of stuff, because books can hold that in the little crevices as you're opening up the book, right? And so one way to clean books, like say you get a vintage book and it has an odor or a smell, you can just cover or saturate the book with baking soda, right? And you can open up the book and just pour baking soda all over it. Put it in a box or some kind of deep container, and then just cover it with baking soda, and then let it sit. And plastic containers are really good for this. So if you have like a plastic box or bin, you're still protecting the book, especially if it's vintage, and then just let it sit for some days if you can, at least 24 hours, and that will maybe take the odor out of the book, right? Because sometimes you'll get a very valuable book, then it's like, I don't want to get rid of it. I don't want to throw this book out. I want to try to preserve it, right? And if you can't do it, maybe you'll take it to someone who can restore the book, right? And bring it back to its original quality. And also they can try to remove the smell for you, right? And I've even seen where people say, well, I just put it in a container with some coffee, and then the coffee took over, right? So paper is kind of like, it's this milled wood, and so it can hold all of these different things, an odor, that kind of thing. You're not really going to catch a disease or whatever, it's not going to stay on there, but mold, you really want to be careful about that, right? So and sometimes people want to remove the pages because it has mold, and like, oh, it's great. Well, just be careful, be mindful of all of that, right? So these are just some tips and some things to be aware of, how to care for a book. Be careful of where you're getting your books from. because you just don't know, right? So it's best to be careful than sorry.